One click, one view, one fatal moment of viral ambition. That's all it takes to transform content creators into cautionary tales, where the pursuit of likes and followers becomes a deadly game with no second chances. It was June 4th, 2019, in downtown Los Angeles. The sun had not fully risen yet, and the streets below were quiet except for early traffic and delivery trucks. An office building under renovation stood dark, with temporary fencing and warning signs posted at street level. The rooftop was unfinished, with sections of guardrails removed as crews prepared for new materials to arrive later that morning. Daniel Cruz, 24, entered the building through an unsecured stairwell just after 5:30 a.m. He worked evenings at a car wash and spent his free time filming parkour and urban exploration videos. His social media page had a little over 3,000 followers. He was not sponsored and had no formal training. His recent videos had been getting fewer views than before, and people close to him said he had been looking for something bigger to post. Daniel had visited the location twice in the weeks leading up to that morning. Two office buildings stood across from each other, separated by a narrow service alley. From roof to roof, the horizontal gap measured just over 11 feet. Temporary renovation work had left both rooftops uneven. Loose gravel, dust, and small debris were scattered across the surface. He carried two small action cameras and his phone. After reaching the roof, Daniel placed one camera near the edge and another farther back to capture his run-up. He did not clear the gravel from the path. Instead, he adjusted the angles several times, stepping back and forth to check the framing. At the same time, a small construction crew arrived at the neighboring building. Two workers were on a lower rooftop preparing tools and inspecting equipment. From their position, they could see Daniel moving around on the opposite roof. One later said it was obvious he did not belong there. Daniel began pacing out his approach. He measured roughly 30 feet from the edge, walking it several times. He made multiple practice runs, accelerating toward the gap and stopping at the last second. The workers noticed his shoes slipping slightly during these attempts as gravel shifted underfoot. After several minutes, Daniel repositioned the camera again. He backed up to the start of his run and stood still for a short time. Witnesses said he appeared focused on the setup rather than the surface beneath him. On the final attempt, Daniel sprinted faster than before. As he reached the last few feet, his lead foot landed on loose gravel. The stones shifted forward and his foot slid just enough to throw off his balance. His takeoff was late and lower than intended. Daniel partially cleared the gap but struck the far building chest first just below the roofline. One worker described the sound as heavy and flat, not sharp. Daniel's upper body hit the wall and his arms came up briefly before he fell backward into the alley. As he fell, Daniel struck a metal fixture mounted to the building several stories down. The impact changed his position before he continued falling. The workers ran to the edge and shouted, but could not see the ground clearly from where they stood. Daniel was later found in the alley below, unresponsive. His phone was recovered near the edge of the roof where he had set it to record. Paramedics arrived shortly after and confirmed that he had sustained fatal blunt force trauma consistent with a high fall impact. The footage on the device showed his run-up, the slip at takeoff, and the moment his body left the frame. No video of the landing was captured. Within days, permanent safety barriers were installed on both rooftops involved. Daniel's social media account stopped updating, and the footage from that morning was never posted or shared publicly. Daniel Cruz's fatal rooftop jump showed how urban environments could turn deadly for content creators. But nature presented equally lethal challenges, as one travel blogger would discover at the Grand Canyon. It was August 7th, 2018, when 26-year-old Nina Wright and her boyfriend Marcus began their descent into a remote side canyon in northern Arizona toward a high-volume waterfall known locally as Twin Vale Falls. Nina worked as a marketing coordinator for a technology company while maintaining a small travel blog with approximately 3,800 Instagram followers. Her content focused on adventure destinations, and she had been planning the trip for months after seeing viral videos of people swimming near large, powerful waterfalls. The waterfall dropped roughly 180 feet into a narrow plunge pool and was experiencing unusually high flow due to recent monsoon storms. Warning signs had been posted along the trail about dangerous conditions, but Nina was determined to create content that would stand out from typical tourist photos. She carried a waterproof action camera and had convinced Marcus to film her attempt to swim in the plunge pool below the falls. The nearly 8-mile descent into the canyon took most of the day. Other backpackers they encountered warned about the strong currents, but Nina remained focused on her planned shoot. Marcus expressed concerns about the water conditions throughout their approach, noting the unusual volume and turbulence visible from the trail. Nina set up her waterproof camera on a stable rock ledge overlooking the pool and began recording continuous video intended for later upload, occasionally speaking toward the camera as if addressing her audience. The plunge pool was estimated to be roughly 40 feet across, with depths believed to exceed 30 feet near the base. The recirculating hydraulic created by the falling water was clearly visible as a churning white zone directly beneath the cascade. Nina entered the water wearing a standard life jacket and initially stayed near the calmer edges of the pool. The recorded footage later reviewed showed her gradually moving closer to the turbulent center, despite Marcus signaling from shore for her to maintain distance. When Nina reached the hydraulic zone, the powerful recirculating current immediately pulled her underwater. The turbulence forced the improperly secured life jacket up over her shoulders, rendering it ineffective within seconds, and she became trapped in the washing machine effect, created by a massive volume of water falling continuously. The hydraulic held her in a continuous cycle of being pulled down and pushed back toward the base of the falls. Marcus attempted to reach her from the rocky shoreline, but could not safely enter the dangerous current. 2 other hikers who witnessed the incident also tried to assist but were unable to approach the hydraulic zone without risking their own safety. Nina remained trapped in the hydraulic for a short period before her body was eventually released downstream. By the time bystanders could reach her in the calmer water, she had drowned. The recovered footage showed the entire sequence from her entry into the pool until she disappeared beneath the surface. Marcus activated his satellite emergency communicator immediately after the incident. Due to the remote location, backcountry access restrictions, and monsoon weather conditions, aerial recovery operations were delayed for several hours. Recovery teams retrieved Nina's body from the pool using specialized swift water rescue equipment. The camera continued recording unattended after the incident until its battery failed. The footage was later secured and never publicly released. Authorities later reviewed the incident and classified it as an accidental drowning. The official report noted that Nina had entered a known hydraulic hazard despite posted warnings and adverse conditions. Her waterproof camera provided crucial evidence about the sequence of events leading to her death. Following the incident, park authorities enhanced warning signage about hydraulic dangers and implemented additional safety briefings for backcountry permits. The case highlighted the risks associated with swimming near high-volume waterfalls, particularly during periods of elevated flow. Nina writes drowning at Mooney Falls showed nature's deadly power, but man-made dangers could be equally unforgiving. A young photographer would discover that railroad tracks left no room for error when pursuing the perfect shot. It was June 22, 2018, in Riverside County, California. The early afternoon was warm and dry as freight trains moved through a rural stretch of track that cut across rolling hills. The rail line curved through the terrain, limiting visibility in both directions. Low brush and dirt embankments lined the tracks, and the shape of the land reduced how early approaching trains could be seen or heard. Adam Perry was 19 years old. He worked part-time at an electronics store and spent much of his free time building a photography portfolio online. His page had roughly 4,200 followers. Adam focused on dramatic images taken in places that looked raw or dangerous. He believed those settings made his work stand out. Friends said he often searched for locations that most people avoided. Adam chose the rail line after scouting it on previous visits. He knew freight trains used the track regularly, but there was no posted schedule. Train movement depended on dispatch and traffic farther up the line. Adam relied only on what he had observed before and believed there would be enough warning time if a train approached. That afternoon, Adam arrived with his friend Jake, who agreed to help with the shoot. Adam brought a professional camera, extra lenses, and a shoulder bag with his equipment. The plan was to take a series of photos that framed the curve of the track stretching into the hills. At first, Jake posed several feet away from the rails while Adam photographed from the gravel shoulder. As the session continued, Adam adjusted his angles and stepped closer. He climbed onto the railroad ties to lower his camera position. Jake moved as directed, standing near the edge of the track while Adam worked. Adam's camera strap hung across his chest, connected to the equipment bag at his side. Neither of them had any protective gear or lookout system in place. The area was quiet except for wind moving through the brush. Because of the curve in terrain, sound carried unevenly. Jake was the first to notice movement down the line. From his position, he saw the front of a freight locomotive appear around the bend. Jake immediately shouted and waved to get Adam's attention. Adam was looking through the camera viewfinder and did not respond at first. He was focused on framing the shot and adjusting his position. When Adam finally looked up, the train was already much closer. It was moving at authorized freight speed and closing distance quickly. Adam turned to clear the tracks, stepping back toward the gravel shoulder. As he moved, the camera strap caught on his equipment bag, pulling him slightly off balance. The delay lasted only seconds. Adam stumbled and failed to clear the rails completely. The train engineer, seeing Adam on the track, applied emergency brakes immediately and sounded the horn. The train could not slow enough in the remaining distance. Adam was struck while still on the tracks. The impact caused fatal injuries. Jake witnessed the collision from nearby and remained clear of the rail line as the train passed. After the train came to a stop farther down the track, Jake called for help while staying clear of the rails. The train crew remained on site until the area was secured and rail traffic could resume safely. Adam's camera and damaged equipment were recovered near the ties where he had been standing moments earlier. The memory card inside the camera was intact and showed the progression of the shoot, including how close Adam had positioned himself to the active track before the train appeared around the curve. Service on the rail line resumed later that day. Adam's online accounts were never updated again, and the photographs taken during the session were never posted or shared publicly. Adam Perry's fatal train collision showed how distraction could turn deadly when creating content. 3 years later, another creator would learn that natural environments were equally unforgiving without proper safety assessment. We've got more influencers who died chasing views coming up, so hit subscribe if you want to see how clout turns fatal. It was September 14, 2018, when 24-year-old Elena Young arrived at a rocky coastal cliff area near San Diego with her two-person camera crew for what she planned as her most ambitious content creation yet. Elena worked as a yoga instructor at a wellness center while building her fitness influencer brand with about 3,500 followers across multiple platforms. Her competitive nature and drive to create increasingly extreme content had been escalating over recent months as she faced pressure from younger influencers entering her space. Elena had spent weeks researching cliff diving locations and studying tide charts for this specific shoot. The rocky coastline in the area featured dramatic 60 to 70-foot drops into the Pacific Ocean, but the area was known for its unpredictable underwater rock formations and variable water depths depending on tidal conditions. Her crew consisted of a videographer and a drone operator, both experienced in outdoor content creation. They arrived during low tide conditions, which Elena had specifically chosen under the mistaken belief that it would provide clearer water visibility for her footage. However, the low tide also significantly reduced water depth over the submerged rock shelves below the cliffs. Elena set up multiple camera angles, including a drone positioned to capture aerial footage of her planned dive. She began live streaming to several hundred viewers, many of whom encouraged her to attempt the jump from the highest accessible point. The livestream footage later recovered by investigators showed Elena discussing her plan to dive from approximately 70 feet above the water. A surfer paddling in the nearby break observed Elena's preparations and later told authorities he had considered warning her about the shallow conditions, but was too far away to communicate effectively. Several beachwalkers on the bluff trail also witnessed the setup but did not intervene. Elena executed what appeared to be a technically sound dive, entering the water feet first after a brief fall lasting only a few seconds. However, the low tide had significantly reduced the water depth in her landing zone, where submerged rock shelves and boulders lay just beneath the surface. Her feet struck the underwater rock formation at high velocity, causing severe injuries to her lower extremities and spine. The impact immediately impaired her ability to swim or maintain buoyancy. Elena submerged and was unable to surface on her own due to her injuries. The surfer who had been watching paddled toward the impact site, but required significant time to fight lateral surge and reach the area where Elena had gone under. By the time he located her underwater, she had already drowned. He brought her to accessible rocks with assistance from bystanders who had climbed down from the cliff trail. Emergency responders arrived shortly after the initial rescue efforts began, but resuscitation attempts were unsuccessful. Elena was pronounced dead at the scene. The drone footage captured the entire sequence from her dive through the rescue attempts, providing investigators with substantial visual documentation. The live stream continued briefly after the incident, capturing emergency response efforts before platform administrators terminated the feed following viewer reports. The footage revealed that Elena had not adequately assessed the water depth or identified the submerged hazards in her chosen landing zone. County medical examiners determined the cause of death as drowning secondary to traumatic injuries sustained during impact with underwater rocks. The official report noted that low tide conditions had created a hazardous situation that Elena had not properly evaluated. Following the incident, local authorities installed additional warning signage about variable water depths and underwater hazards at popular cliff areas. Patrol frequency was increased during peak weekend hours when cliff jumping activity typically occurred. The case prompted discussions within the influencer community about safety protocols for extreme content creation. Elena's death highlighted the risks associated with cliff diving in unfamiliar locations without a proper assessment of underwater conditions and tidal variations. Elena Young's fatal cliff dive showed how natural hazards could be misjudged with deadly consequences. But abandoned buildings held their own hidden dangers, as one urban explorer would soon discover. It was November 3, 2019, when 21-year-old Blake Cooper entered carrying 40 pounds of camera equipment for his urban exploration documentation. Blake worked night shifts at a warehouse while creating content for around 4,700 subscribers during daylight hours. His methodical personality and attention to architectural details had earned him a reputation among urban exploration enthusiasts for thorough, well-researched videos. The 12-story hotel had been condemned for over 15 years following multiple fires and extensive water damage. City inspectors had scheduled a final structural assessment for the following week before planned demolition. Blake had researched the building's history extensively and identified specific areas of architectural interest for his planned rooftop sunset shoot. Blake's girlfriend expected regular text updates throughout his exploration, a safety protocol they had established after previous incidents in the urban exploration community. He had also informed her of his planned return time and vehicle location as standard practice for solo explorations. Blake began his ascent methodically, testing floor stability with a metal rod and documenting each level with his handheld camera. The lower floors showed typical signs of abandonment, but remained structurally sound. As he progressed higher, fire damage became more extensive, with missing interior walls and visible concrete deterioration. By the 8th floor, Blake encountered significant structural compromise. Years of water infiltration had corroded reinforcing steel, causing concrete delamination and significantly reducing the slab's load-bearing capacity. Despite these warning signs, Blake continued toward his target location near the exterior windows where he planned to capture city views. Blake's camera was recording when he stepped onto what appeared to be a stable concrete slab near the building's exterior wall. The section, weakened by years of water damage and fire exposure, suddenly failed under his weight. The initial collapse caused Blake to fall through the failed floor slab and impact weakened sections below, triggering additional localized failures rather than a full progressive collapse. Blake fell through multiple weakened floors as each level failed under the impact and debris load. The collapse progressed downward until reaching a partially intact slab on the 5th floor where the failures stopped. When Blake failed to send his scheduled check-in message and did not return by his planned time, his girlfriend contacted authorities. Police located his vehicle outside the abandoned building and requested urban search and rescue teams to conduct a systematic search of the structure. Rescue teams used listening devices and visual inspections to search the collapsed section, though heavy debris significantly limited search effectiveness. The recovery operation required heavy equipment to safely remove concrete debris without causing additional structural instability. Blake was located under the rubble approximately 18 hours after the collapse, and he was pronounced deceased at the scene. Investigators recovered Blake's camera equipment from the debris field. While most devices were destroyed, a backup memory card survived and contained footage leading up to the structural failure. The video showed Blake's approach to the compromised section and documented the moment the floor gave way beneath him. The medical examiner determined that Blake died from multiple traumatic injuries consistent with a multi-story fall and impact from falling debris. The structural failure had occurred too rapidly for any survival response. City engineers conducted an emergency assessment of the building following the incident and accelerated demolition plans due to the demonstrated structural instability. Blake's death prompted the urban exploration community to develop enhanced safety protocols, including stronger recommendations for partner systems and remote check-in protocols during building explorations. The incident prompted increased security measures at several high-risk abandoned properties identified by city officials, including improved fencing and regular patrols to deter unauthorized access. The recovered footage was later referenced in safety discussions within the urban exploration community to demonstrate how quickly structural failures can occur in compromised buildings. Authorities concluded that the combination of fire damage, water infiltration, and steel corrosion had created an unpredictable failure point that appeared stable but could not support normal loads. The collapse demonstrated how localized structural failures can propagate vertically through compromised buildings. Thanks for watching. Want to see more? Click on your screen now.